It's time for us to get into another conversation. Now, this one in particular excites me. Excites me for all kinds of different reasons, but the photography is just that space where I think I find myself most comfortable. It just sort of like water off a duck's back kind of feeling. You know, I've been joined in the studio by two gentlemen, and we're going to be talking about a capacity building event for photojournalists. All right, so call your friends, tell them to tune in, and stay glued to this conversation because you're going to love this. Dikan Center, the Dikan Center is hosting a capacity building events for photojournalists, and we're going to be talking all about that just right now. I've been joined in studio by Paul Ninson, who's the founder and CEO of the Dikan Center, as well as Pete Souza. Listen to this. He's a former White House photographer for President Obama. Told you, stay glued. Gentlemen, you're welcome.
Thank you.
All right.
For having us.
Now, let me just, before I come to you, Paul, Pete, it says here, former White House photographer for President Obama, but that was not your first stint at the White House, though. You did Reagan.
I was 12 years old at the time. I did. I worked for the Reagan administration the last 5 years.
Okay.
As an official White House photographer.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
I was a very young man.
Wow, I know. I mean, I've seen images of you at that time, you know. So yeah.
I had more hair.
No, so I was all kinds of excited, you know, when I heard you were coming in and everything else, and I just wondered, at the beginning, let's just say, your first time you got brought into the White House to work as the official White House photographer. What thoughts ran through your mind?
How did I get here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, you know, in many ways, I was just starting my career. And one lucky break after another, I was presented with this opportunity to work at the White House. Yeah. I was a very young man. It was very overwhelming, I have to say.
I can imagine.
I had never met a president before, and now suddenly I'm in his
space
private space every day.
Yeah.
So it was very overwhelming.
Yeah.
It took me, I think it took me 6 months to get to the point where I was somewhat comfortable.
Okay. We'll talk about President Obama shortly, but Paul, how's the Dikan Center doing?
The Dikan Center is doing very well. We are doing a lot of impact works, focus on creative leaders in Ghana specifically, and also, I mean, the ripple effect of it in other countries as well. This year we've run workshops. We have a full-time program for photographers in photojournalism and documentary. We've run exhibitions. We have the first photo library in Ghana as well. And so for us, it's just building an ecosystem in Ghana, which you know we lack in terms of journalism aspect of the visuals. Yeah.
I remember back in the day, this must have been about 2010, and I was looking online to see where I could go study, you know, officially study photography, and I realized that it was difficult because we didn't have anything here at all like that, you know. So it was just really a matter of learning from the greats, as it were, on YouTube. So you go and then, you know, there was this thing called the Masters series. So there was a whole lot of Master of Wedding Photography, Masters of this photography and all of that. And that's how I learned, you know, just watch them and study them, look at their images and try and deconstruct the images, you know, figure out how did they do this? What did they do with this and all that. With your journey, Pete, you got now the opportunity to work with Obama. How different was that with your earlier stint in the Reagan administration?
Well, it was quite different in many respects. One, by then I was a seasoned photojournalist, so I was very comfortable and confident in my own abilities. I had been through a lot of different situations, covered you know, wars, and just been in all kinds of situations. And I had gotten to know.
You covered wars.
Well, in Afghanistan and
you went to
Kosovo.
Afghanistan.
Yeah, I went to Afghanistan.
Okay.
And then I had known Barack Obama for 4 years.
Okay.
When he was a U.S. senator, I followed him for the newspaper that I was working for in Chicago. And so I'd gotten to know him professionally.
Okay.
He's more or less my age. I'm actually a little older than him.
Okay.
So we came from the same generation. But we had already established a professional relationship.
Okay.
So I think having known him for 4 years before coming into the White House was just, hugely important.
You were with him when he came to Ghana?
I was with him, yes.
Ah, we have some images of that, actually. You could take a look at that.
Yeah.
We have some images of him. Now, so these are some images we just, picked from your Instagram page. This is actually a book you wrote, right?
No, that was for a presentation I just did.
A presentation
that
you did.
one,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. All right, so we just...
Some Halloween pictures there.
Yeah, this picture.
Yeah, that was the daughter of one of his staff member, and she had dressed up like an elephant at Halloween.
Yeah.
And came crawling into the Oval Office, and very unusual.
Yeah.
To see a president of the United States lying on the floor
right?
like that.
Yeah. Where were you when you saw him go down? Or did you see him go down, or you noticed he was already on the floor?
I have a whole series of pictures of her crawling in.
Okay.
And him begging her over.
To come, okay.
And then when he lied down, I tried to get down at his level, as low as I could go.
Yes.
It was quite the unusual scene for sure.
Yeah.
And unexpected, just very unexpected.
Well, we also have an image of you at Cape Coast Castle. I wish we could see that one. I just wanted to ask you something about that. If we could see that shot. Yeah. There we go. All right. So when you came to Ghana, and of course, that space where the president is doing his thing, you have to, think of creative ways of showing him in this space. What's your thought, or let me say, what's your work process in terms of when you're following the president around? There's security detail, there's crowds, there's various things going on. What's your work process or your thought process in terms of how do I get or present him in the best light possible?
Oh, I'm not necessarily thinking that way. I'm just thinking about what's the best composition, what's the best moment for this situation. I'm trying to be as authentic as possible. I'm not thinking about how do I show him in the best light. I'm trying to break down what's happening. How do I make the best picture possible to tell the story? I mean, in that particular case, he was giving some remarks.
Okay.
Well, there's so many pictures of him talking at a podium. I don't need that. And I thought when he finished, he was going to walk away. And it's very unusual that you'd get a picture like that with nobody else in the background.
In the background, yeah.
But they had kind of cleared the area for the TV cameras.
Okay.
So I had maybe 5 seconds where I could get that photo. Yeah.
Wow. All right, Paul. So what made you decide to reach out to Pete, of all people? How did you even get his number?
So we're doing this workshop with Pete and Alice Gabrina, who used to be my former lecturer at ICP. So she was and I do one of my favorite.
And she had worked for me.
Oh, wow. So it's a whole ecosystem, a nice linkage.
And
okay.
She is a photo editor for a number of years, and I know the impact she made in my life whilst I was a student.
Okay.
So I promised myself that if God grants me that grace and I build Dikan and we have to train journalists on the next level, the first person I'll reach out to will be Alice, to bring Alice. And I knew Alice had worked with Pete, and I knew that combination will be very helpful because next year we're going through elections, and if you're looking for somebody who's a photo editor,
can tell the story.
And who's Pete also used to teach, right? And so who else would be the best suit to have? And also I was looking from the outside perspective, right? Because we've had series of workshops where we've used local photographers and photographers on the continent, and now I was looking for one which is different, And Pete, one of the things I really truly love about Pete and work he do is that he was a photojournalist at the White House. It wasn't like he was there to do propaganda or stage pictures or and that is what I needed for this particular workshop to end the year with, and truly Alice having also the photo editor be in the room, seeing how the perspective of photo editor, and that combination was what I've been working on for more than a year now, and to have them here is such a blessing.
When is it happening?
It's currently happening right now.
Okay.
It will end on Saturday, and then we'll have the exhibition. And the exhibition, the pictures you showed over there,
will be part of the exhibition.
We have more, and we have one session for 29 when President Obama was here. Pete photographed all that. Okay. We have a session for that. And for us also, we want to, as we have the gallery, right? So to build the ecosystem, to build the appreciation of photography, to build the appreciation of journalism, photojournalism and documentary, that is why when I reached out to Pete, I requested that we have an exhibition so that the decision makers will see that this is how someone spent 8 years photographing a president, and someone did that ethically, someone was given accessibility, and for that we want a lot of people. So it's going to be on show till early next year. So our goal is for photographers to see it's possible to see the image of Pete Souza, and also politicians and newsroom editors, and to see that this can be possible and improve the ecosystem in allowing us to tell our own stories, allowing photojournalist documentary to give access and resource to them. And for us, that is the vision of Dikan, to educate creative leaders to transform Africa.
Now, Pete, if the workshop is going on, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that you've already taught, and there's some more things you're going to teach and all that, but if you were to sort of distillate that for us and say you're giving us maybe the top 3 or top 5 pieces of advice for someone who is already a photographer looking to up their game in photojournalism, what would you say to them?
I mean, I think that one of the things that Alice and I have been stressing to these 20 students is what story are you trying to tell? Okay. It's going beyond just making a nice picture. It's what are you trying to tell about your subject, and one of the main ways to do that is to get more into their lives than just the superficial. We have one student that's doing a story on a woman pastor, so go beyond just what happens during the church service. Show her getting ready, maybe show her at home, show her interacting with other people, just trying to get beyond the superficial and get behind the scenes more.
Okay. Paul, so far, with this experience that you've had, you've been here for a few days, it's been going on, what would you say are some of your highlights?
Going out on dinner with them.
I mean, sometimes it's the very informal moments.
Right? I think my highlight is, we're creating the exhibition. Because look, I've been a photographer for 6 years. You know my journey, right? Yes. And to be in the room with Pete and Alice, before I went to ICP, I researched on the tutors, right? The instructors and the professors. And Alice was one of the people I was looking forward to meeting. Pete I've had Pete's book for a long time. Pete has been one of the photographers I really, because sometime in my life I wanted to be a presidential photographer. When I went to even ICP, that was my dream, to come back and do what Pete was doing. So to have them in the room and to be there, and also have my friends I started photography with in the room. So to be able to go on the other side and come back with what I was in the class. I have never been in Pete's class. I was in Alice's class. So, to be in a room where I see my friends and I see young photographers, I see talent. It gives me the edge to keep going. It gives me the edge and the motivation that it's possible, that this institution and what we're building with a group of young photographers could be possible. So my highlight truly is the joy to see photographers in the room to get that education that they will not get, the education they've been yearning to go on the other side, which many of them want to, but to bring Pete here is to bring that school I went to here, and for the rest of my life, I think that will be one of the proudest moments of my life.
Pete, now what do you think of some of the skills and talents you've seen so far?
Oh, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the attitude that the students are showing. They're like sponges.
Yeah.
They're listening to a lot of what we're saying to them. I mean, what we're trying to do, they all worked on a project coming in.
Okay.
And we're critiquing their work.
Okay.
But we're critiquing it publicly. In other words, for each student, we're taking one student at a time. We're providing advice, critique. How could you do this better? What's story? And the other 19 students are listening to each critique. So I think they're learning from everybody that's there.
Yeah.
And everybody is a different person. They approach their subject a different way. And we're trying to make them think stories, think storytelling, think how can I improve my photography, and I think all 20 of them are benefiting. For every student that we're critiquing.
Yeah, fantastic. What would be success for you at the end of this trip?
What would be
success? How would you define success
it's already
at the end
successful,
of this trip? It's already successful.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I think it's successful. I think it's successful in that I think the students have learned from Alice and I. I am just getting good vibes from these students. They're very attentive. And we sat there the first day from 10 o'clock until almost 5 o'clock. That's a long time.
Yeah.
And they were very attentive, taking notes, listening, asking questions, lots of questions.
Well, truth is, it's not often you get to meet a presidential photographer anyway, so hey, I'm envious. I'm envious, but I'm enjoying this moment as well. Right, so let's wrap up with some final words.
We have an exhibition on Saturday at 6 o'clock, and again, the people who couldn't get into the workshop, the public who has never seen pictures of Obama and how the thought process and what goes into it, because sometimes it's easy to see the pictures. I remember very well when I was starting photography, I used to look at Pete's works on the website of White House, and so now you get to come to listen to Pete, talk about some of the process,
how he created those images.
How he created them, and also talk about some of the ethics and things involved, the stories behind that we've never heard. So Pete and Alice will have a short talk, and then the pictures will be on display. So we're expecting we're inviting everyone to come on Saturday at Dikan Center at 6 o'clock, for public viewing and all that, and we'll end it, and the exhibition will be on for a long time. And I encourage parents, because in our culture, when I started, my mom was the only one who believed in me, and
amazing,
so to see that and to have people look up to even the leadership. For me, I was talking to Pete, Obama was
as a national leadership.
Obama was not just only a president; he was a father. Right. So to see that the balance between being a father, how to handle the situation, and we have one of the best pictures of the Situation Room when the raid was happening, and all that in the room, and you've seen President Obama with the wife, Michelle Obama, and all that. I think is so much joy. And actually, this is the first time the exhibition is coming to Africa.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, I also think that beyond, my exhibit, I think it's a great opportunity for people that are coming to view it to learn more about the Dikan Center and what this guy is doing.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. You're fantastic. Well, thank you. Thank you very much
for having us.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this as well. And one of the things I've always noticed with lay people and non-photographers, when they see an image, they assume it was happenstance. But a lot of the time is a thought process that goes into creating the image. Especially the more rare the image is, the more people feel like, lucky moment, you just got it like that. But that doesn't often happen, does it?
I think a lot of my photography, they are all like once in a lifetime moments. And the skill that I guess I bring to it is being ready to capture that moment.
Ready all the time.
And I'm hoping that when people look at my photographs, they get a feeling, an emotional feeling, so that there's a connection between my photograph and them, and they get to see this person and learn about him through my photograph.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Paul, thank you too.
Thank you so
for
much.
coming
I'm
through.
grateful that you always have us.
Yeah. So we've been speaking with Pete Souza, who is the former White House photographer for President Obama, as well as Paul Ninson. He's the founder and CEO of the Dikan Center. And if you haven't been, you should go there. It's in South La, near Tawala. Just Google Dikan Center, the Dikan Center, and pay them a visit. The exhibition will be on. And you said it's when again, the exhibition?
Saturday.
Saturday, this coming Saturday?
This Saturday.
Okay.
And also we want to also be grateful to the American Embassy. Actually, they made this possible in terms of making the workshop free.
Okay.
Because it's free. The workshop is free.
Wow. Okay.
You know, it's been free throughout the whole
for the
year.
Selected
For the selected
people.
free, they get free
Wow.
lunch and everything.
Super.
And we support them even with their projects and other things. So we're also grateful for the people who believe in us, which is the American Embassy paying for that.
But the exhibit goes beyond Saturday.
Yes, the exhibit goes all the way to next year.
Till next year.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. So pay them a visit, all right?